Hello everybody and welcome back inside the box for another episode of Gunpla Kitbash with me, Kukamatsu. In this episode we'll be working on the legs and the skirt armor. So let's jump right in. Okay, we're approaching the final stretch. I see lots of little things I want to sort of tweak and finalize that I've worked on so far, but I want to keep moving forward for now and start on the leg stuff. And it's pretty straightforward for the most part. I'm going to fill in these spaces here and then replace the front skirt armor with the one from the original kit, these guys. And then the other last piece really is these knee fins. They're such a funny design. One of my regular viewers, Arinda, was suggesting that that I make it so you could flip them around to the back, which makes a lot of sense to me. I love the idea because, you know, if I had these on my knees, boy, they'd be in my eye in no time. But because of the nature of the new leg, it has this piece here, which kind of is a natural place to put that fin in. I'm definitely going to make it smaller, just to reduce the eye pokey factor. And so the idea, I think, is going to be to put a slot in there and then put that into that piece there. So it won't actually rotate around the back, but we'll save that idea for a future build because I really like it. Beyond that, I think the rest of the leg is going to stay the same. I'm not too crazy about these slots in the front. You probably noticed that I haven't bothered putting the hologram parts in there. I don't really like them. I think they're great if the kit has a LED unit and they light up, but just as blank things with that hologram material, I don't really love it. That's why I've left it out of that, and I'm going to leave the slot out of that. I think it just makes it too busy in that area. It's a little bit too much, especially with those knee fins. So let's start, I think, with the front skirt armor. I think I want to try and keep the ball joint that's in there, just to make things simple, because the ball joint points a different direction on this one. So what I'm kind of thinking is just cutting this piece off, cut a piece out there, and then glue that directly to it. Start by trimming off this piece. We won't need that anymore. Get rid of this piece. I have a feeling the easiest thing and the best looking thing is actually just going to be to cut it quite close and just have it as a step back. I'll just use my razor saw to trim that back. I'm just going to guess here. I don't think it's really critical. It's basically like that. Now what I do want to do is I want to be able to separate this gray piece from the white so that I can paint all these parts separately. So I'm going to go ahead and take it apart and glue it on while it's apart so that I don't accidentally get glue all in there and get it all stuck together as one. Okay, I'm going to go for it. No particular reason to use the black super glue in this case, so I'll use the clear. The black super glue sort of takes a bit longer to set. If you want to have something sort of stick instantly, I find the clear super glue to be a little bit better for that. I still use the kicker to get it to set completely. Symmetry's looking pretty good. Worked out pretty well. Okay, the next step is going to be to fill in this slot here. Just want to basically bring it flush with the top and filled in. For this, I'm going to switch back to the black super glue. Probably the most common question I get on the channel is, what glue are you using for that stuff? And this is the answer. It's Black Widow by AK. I use it because I can see it so much better when I fill it and sand it, rather than the clear super glue, which is difficult to tell if you've gotten a good surface out of it. Unfortunately, it is a little bit difficult to find depending what country you're in, but hopefully you can find a local hobby shop or somewhere online in your country that sells this stuff. So I'm going to just use the chunkiest piece of styrene rod I have, and I think I'll just put a couple of them in there, trim it back, and then file it, fill it, sand it till I get it where I want it to be. Just trim the big chunks back. I'll do some preliminary filing with the big file just to get the shape close to where I want it to be. Cool, that's pretty close to what I want. Now I'll just fill the rest of the spaces with the black super glue. I think I might just remove this front detail here, make that all flat. That's looking pretty good. There might be some minor imperfections that will reveal themselves when I paint it gray, but I think that's good for now. I really do love this super glue method. It's just so immediate. You go from having a hole to having it all filled in a nice surface in a pretty short amount of time. There we go, both sides done now. And I think I'll move on to the leg. I'll have to remove this fin from here to start with and then figure out how to get it attached to there. I'm basically thinking of making it small enough that it'll fit on there nicely. So maybe around that big. I can always trim it back a little bit. I'm hoping just to be able to cut this and not have to do too much with it. Cut a slot in there and then put it in. We'll see if it ends up being that simple. I guess the first thing to do is sort of decide style-wise how big I want it to be and then work from there to try and fit it on. I guess it's something like that. I might make that bit bigger so that I can stick it in. Cut it straight across to start, but with a notch at the top. Something like that to start. I'm going to use the razor saw, but I can't cut straight across there because I need that extra notch at the end. So what I think I might do is just start by cutting across there, like that. And then I can use the nippers and the knife to get it back to the size that I want and shape. Something like that. I was thinking of cutting a slot in the whole thing and then embedding it a little bit. And I'm just wondering now if it's a better idea to mount it to the surface. And the reason is because the peg that goes in the kneecap mech is right there in the middle. So if I put a slot there, I'm gonna lose that. And also the one part will break into two because there won't be anything stopping it. So I wonder if it is just a matter of trimming that back a bit. Kind of a weird one. Big fins out your knees are always going to be kind of weird. My mind wants to make a line that goes straight across there and have it stick out like that. But it just gets so wide and so far down that way that it doesn't really work. It has to be on more of an angle like this. Actually, as I look at it more, I don't really like it like that. It looks a little weird to me. So I'm thinking about doing something more like this. I think that does look better. Yeah, I think that works better. It introduces a slight complication in that those two are separate parts at the moment, but I think I can glue them together and then do it all as one big piece. Just gonna tack these together with some extra thin cement and see if that's a viable option. Yeah, I think I'll be able to put those on as one part, so that works out pretty well. I guess there's nothing else to do except glue it on and then deal with all of the issues that creates. Okay, that's looking pretty good. This kind of thing always presents the problem of trying to sand in an inner corner like that. It can be quite difficult. I often use a blade to just kind of cut into the corner rather than trying to get a file in there because it rarely gets all the way in. I have pulled out this other blade for my knife. That is a number 17 blade, whereas the regular triangular one is a number 11 blade. This is actually much easier to do the scraping thing because you have something to run up against with it. You're not as at risk of digging into the piece beside it. Alright, I think basically that's done. Maybe some touch-ups once we get the gray on there, but overall I think it's looking pretty good. Let's see how it fits on the leg. I think that is looking pretty nice. There we go, I finished the other side as well. I think it's looking pretty good and pretty happy with it overall. And with that, I would say the build portion of this project is complete. Well, that is the end of the episode and the end of the main part of the build. In the next episode, painting. So if you liked the video, I'd appreciate it if you give me a like down below. Check out the playlist for previous videos. Subscribe if you want to follow along, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.